Hey, what's going on? It is that time for Word of the Day Wednesday. Come on, somebody. Man, a couple minutes late, man, because I was trying to have this whole setup. Oh, man, you should see it. I'll post it in my story. I had my graphic on my TV in the background, and I was trying to play with the lights and everything. But it was not working, and so I had to abort at the last minute. But man, I'm doing this new thing, man, 10 o'clock every single day, just so or not every single day, but every Wednesday for Word of the Day Wednesday. And we are starting a brand new series, super fired up. Doing this series called When All Seems Lost. And this graphic that I have is freaking amazing, right? And I just, man, felt this thing on my heart to, man, go through the book of Daniel, I think it can speak to a lot of situations that we're going through because Daniel had this unwavering faith despite what was happening in his circumstances around him, okay? So, going through the first chapter, just doing a little studying on the first chapter of Daniel. It was super awesome. Just to give you a little context, at this point in time, Israel basically was in exile. They had this love-hate relationship with God. And this is one of those times where, man, they were exiled just because of the, man, idolatry and, sin and all these different things. And so Daniel is an Israelite and he is living in a place called Babylon. Okay. And so, man, basically where we find Daniel in chapter 1, he's with a couple of friends. Okay. And they basically have chosen Daniel and his couple of friends because, man, they just are really, they look good. They, have, man, just great physique and, all these different things. And they're well spoken. And they're like, we want you to represent, Israel in the king's court. And so they, set them aside. They're set apart. And basically they're like, okay, we're going to, feed you all the king's, food and all this stuff so that you can, be like in the king's court. And it's super awesome. And Daniel is basically like, man, you know what? Like, that's awesome. And we want to, represent, but here's what we're going to do. We aren't going to eat the king's meat. Okay. And hold on, I got a low battery on my computer. Hang tight. Dang it. This one's going to be a little bit longer. It is okay. All right. And so they are in the king's court. And Daniel's like, nah, hold up. I'm not going to assimilate. I'm not going to assimilate to what the king is, trying to get us to do. And so he does this whole thing. And actually this whole Daniel fast comes from this part right here where he's like, you know what? Everybody else is going to eat, the king's meat and all this stuff, but I'm going to just, not defile myself. It says in verse 8, but Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. And so he says, and people are worried, saying like, man, you're not going to look as good as the other people that are eating this meat and all this stuff. He's like, man, give us 10 days. Give us 10 days and look at us. Like after we are eating, man, our vegetables and stuff like that, and everybody else eating, the king's meat, if we look famished or malnourished, then, man, we'll do that. But they come back 10 days and, man, Daniel and his posse actually look stronger, more able-bodied and everything. And so a couple of things that I got from this part. And one of them is when all seems lost, don't lose yourself. Okay? The whole world, like the Daniel's world with Babylon, they were all, going down a pattern, right? And he chose to go against the grain. He chose to not assimilate, right? To take in resemblance of the culture that he was in. He had a different culture about himself. He had the culture of God. He had the culture of, wanting to, please God in everything that he did, right? And the world will steadily tempt us to conform to the pattern, right? Is this verse in Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay. And so Daniel did not conform. And there's going to be a constant pressure, for Christians to fit in to society's norms and just the different things that, society wants us to do, when it comes to our purity, when it comes to, our faith, when it comes to all these different things. And it's just, we're called to be set apart. Daniel knew that he was called to be set apart. And so he did things that were not normal, right? He ate vegetables when everybody was eating meat. This is a small, part of it. But the bigger picture is not conforming to the pattern of the world that he was living in. Okay. He was set apart. I had this question. I'm not sure where I got this question from, but it really speaks to, whether you're conforming or not, right? If being a follower of Christ was illegal right now, where you are at, is there enough evidence in your life for you to get caught? If being a follower of Christ was illegal in the place that you reside right now, is there enough evidence in your life for you to get caught? Would you go to jail, right? And this is really speaking to, just the beginning of Daniel. Not conforming. When all seems lost, don't lose yourself. When everybody's going off that cliff, when everybody is, in that area, just being lost and they don't know, what's happening, where they're going, and all these different things. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose your identity. Don't lose your faith. All right. Always like to keep these short and sweet. Took a little bit longer today because I had some technical difficulties, but see you guys next week for this series, part 2 in this series, When All Seems Lost. All right. Have a good day.